Morning, Jim. Well, you certainly are today, big fella. How you doing? Hope you're safe and well, Jim. And hope you're enjoying your Linux. I'm just plain and enjoying the best ever build of American truck I've ever done in my life. It's so full of simulation. I love it. Right, let's see if we can grab a job out the hell out of here. To who knows where, who knows. What we got? That's a hell of a journey, isn't it? Golden down to Vancouver. Okay, let's take it. It's a hell of a trip, but I'm sure we can pull it out the bag. And it's worth $115,000, so I'll have a bit of that. You've been up since 3 years, bad as me, Jim. Really, honestly, you're as bad as me, big boy. Just saying. Okay. Let's get this little load hooked up and on its way.
I'll find a new route. It's all over now.
Okay. And there she is, golden to Vancouver. Yeah, we've got a reefer, a triple axled reefer. Oh, we've got a twin axled reefer. Oh my lord. We've got a huge dry van. I want to go for a twin axled reefer, I think. No, I'm not actually. Being as that's huge, I'll just go for the dry van. There we go. So it's £37,000 of dynamite. So that's... not sure should be taking that really. Dynamite. But anyway, let's get the beacons on. Let's go and pick this bad boy up. And we'll get on our way to destination. Try and back it up and stay in cab view, as you would in real life, I guess. Beautiful.
Okay, here we go.
And let's haul arse with the dynamite. Enjoy, everybody. Enjoy. Let's have a bit of radio company for the journey. Why not?
This
We don't want
to
a silent cab, do we? And it gives me a chance to shut the hell up and just enjoy the simulation. Let's go.
Tactical nuclear weapons had now been delivered to Belarus, and he said that the transfer would be complete by the end of the summer, but he went on to play down concerns over a possible nuclear confrontation arising from this. Antony Blinken said the United States was closely monitoring Russian plans to transfer these weapons, but he added that they didn't see any indication that Russia was actually preparing to deploy a nuclear weapon.
State media in North Korea say the ruling party is holding a key meeting to discuss defense strategy, diplomacy, and how to improve the country's struggling economy. The North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, is reported to be attending the conference, which opened on Friday. This is the world news from the BBC. Jihadists in Nigeria's northeastern Borno state have murdered at least 7 farmers in a village close to the state capital, Maiduguri. Local militia leaders and officials said the farmers were decapitated by Boko Haram militants on Thursday. The Borno state government is engaged in a program of resettling people who had previously fled from jihadist violence. The international medical charity Doctors Without Borders says that more than 300 people needing treatment have arrived at a hospital in Chad as violence rages in Sudan's Darfur region. Chris Iwaka reports.
MSF said that 50 wounded Sudanese were brought to the Adre hospital on Friday afternoon after receiving at least 242 wounded the previous day. Injured people were said to be arriving in waves into Chad, among them about 130 in critical condition who need surgical care. Some of them are being referred to other hospitals in Abeche, a major regional capital in the country. The medical charity explained that many of the wounded are coming from El Janina, the capital of Sudan's West Darfur state, and its surroundings, which continue to witness ongoing intense large-scale violence.
The Mexican government says the warming of waters off its coast is the most likely reason for the recent large increase in the number of birds dying at sea. The Environment and Agriculture Ministries said the warming of the surface in the Pacific is leading to fish swimming deeper underwater, preventing birds from hunting them. The birds affected include pelicans and seagulls, as well as the vulnerable Buller's shearwater. Archaeologists in Germany have uncovered a bronze sword thought to be more than 3,000 years old. The weapon, believed to be from the late 14th century BC, was found in a grave in the town of Nordlingen. Officials say the sword, with an octagonal engraved hilt, would have been complex to make. And that's the latest BBC News.
It's 6 minutes past 5 GMT. Welcome to Weekend from the BBC World Service with me, Julian Morica. We start this hour in Uganda, where many students have been killed in an attack by suspected Islamist rebels on a secondary school in the west of the country. The BBC's Patience Atuheri is in the capital, Kampala. What's known at this stage, Patience?
What we know so far is the deaths are about 25. They would rise higher because the police say they are still trying to establish how many were killed. About 10 or so students were found to have been injured and have been hospitalized. We understand the school is about 2 or so kilometers from the Uganda Democratic Republic of Congo border. That area has a high security presence. The army, the police, the border forces. So it's quite surprising that this kind of attack of this kind of scale happened at a secondary school. We understand dozens more students may also have been abducted.
What of the suspected Islamist rebels who've been mentioned in the context of this? What can you tell us about them?
They are a rebel group of Ugandan origin. They operated in that area, the Rwenzori region and the mountains in the 1990s, and they were known for looting villages, killing people, attacking schools. In 1998, they attacked the Kichwamba Technical Institute in Kawerre district and killed about 80 students. They burned dormitories and looted the school. Then they were pursued by the Ugandan forces for years, and they fled to the DRC. And for years there were no attacks in Uganda blamed on them. But in 2021, this IS-linked rebel group carried out a series of suicide bomb attacks in Kampala and in other parts of Uganda.
You mentioned the DRC and the fact that the border is so close. Have the two countries worked together on security issues because of this?
Yes, they have. For years, even then in the 90s, both countries tried to make sure they sort out the ADF problem for good, but it has persisted because the group recruits from communities, forcefully recruiting children and attacking families and blending into the communities. But after the 2021 bomb attacks in Uganda, the Kinshasa government invited the Ugandan forces to eastern DRC to try and fight the ADF and finish it up for good. But we understand the army keeps reporting progress, camps destroyed, people captured, children rescued. But it seems this operation is still not seeing its end, it's still ongoing.
This is the ADF, the Allied Democratic Forces, as you were saying. In terms of the coming hours, presumably we're still in a situation where more details are emerging.
Yes, we fear, unfortunately, that the death toll might even go up because some of the students who were injured sustained different levels of injuries. The police are still investigating and looking around the school. They might discover even more deaths, unfortunately. So it's an attack of quite a large scale.
Patience, thank you very much. Patience Atuheri there in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. The UN Refugee Agency says up to 500 people are still missing from a migrant boat that sank off the coast of Greece. A spokesman for the UNHCR said this included large numbers of women and children. He described it as an horrific tragedy. 78 people are confirmed dead. The UN has called for urgent action to prevent more migrants drowning at sea. The Greek Coast Guard insists it tried to help the stricken boat, but critics say the authorities waited for too long. 9 Egyptians thought to be people smugglers have been arrested in connection with the sinking. BBC's Sophia Batiza is in the city of Kalamata, where the survivors were taken, and is on the line. What's the latest from there, Sophia?
Good morning. A big search operation is still ongoing here today in southern Greece, because you were just saying that there are fears that many more people could still be missing at sea. Up to 500 people, according to the UN, and among them could be many women and children. Now, it's the third day that authorities are looking for survivors, but so far nobody has been found. The European Union has sent manpower to help the Greek authorities, but this is a very complicated operation, and that's because of the location where this accident happened. It's close to one of the deepest parts of the Mediterranean Sea, with depths of up to 5,200 meters. Now,
Go
as you
straight on.
mentioned, 9 people have been arrested here in Kalamata. They will appear in court on Monday, and they will have to answer questions from a judge, and hopefully that will help us piece together what happened on Wednesday, because there are still so many questions that remain unanswered.
And presumably people in the port, quite apart from those beyond Kalamata in other parts of Greece, they've been reflecting on what has happened here. They want those answers too.
That's right, and there have been a lot of conflicting reports about what happened, and a lot of criticism towards the EU and towards the Greek government. There have been protests here in Greece a couple of days ago, in Athens, in Thessaloniki, and in other parts of the country about, how the government responded to the situation. The criticism,
Sophia, we must leave it there, but thank you very much indeed, Sophia Matisa in the city of Kalamata on the Greek coast. You're with Weekend from the BBC World Service. Next week marks 1 year since the US Supreme Court overturned the right to abortion, decision up to individual states. Since then, 13 states have passed near total abortion bans, with Texas being the largest. The state's trigger law took effect on the 25th of August and criminalizes performing an abortion from the moment of fertilization, unless the pregnant patient's life is at risk. And even before that, Senate Bill 8, or the Heartbeat Act, took effect in September of 2021 and banned abortion from about 6 weeks once there is a fetal heartbeat. The consequences were felt immediately, including by women who never thought the law would directly affect them. The BBC's Neda Tawfiq travelled to Austin, Texas, to find out more about the impact these bans are having on the reproductive health of Americans living there.
Amanda Zarowski, her husband Josh, and their 2 dogs recently bought their dream home. Located in a scenic, sought-after area of Austin, Texas, it was perfect for the next chapter of their lives, with their first child on the way.
We love it here. It's really peaceful. We sit on this golf course.
But being pregnant in the state of Texas almost cost the family their future and Amanda her life. Despite 18 months of grueling fertility treatments, she found herself as one of the first women to be affected by the state's abortion ban.
She was a baby that we desperately wanted.
After dilating prematurely in August due to a condition known as cervical insufficiency, her doctors told her that her unborn daughter would not survive, and that they couldn't terminate her pregnancy, as under the new laws, it's a felony to perform an abortion when a fetal heartbeat is detected unless the mother's life is threatened.
It felt like I was living in a dystopian world. In the United States, as a pregnant person, you shouldn't be afraid for your life because of the laws.
3 days later, Amanda developed a life-threatening infection and went into septic shock.
My teeth were chattering uncontrollably. I couldn't put together a sentence. Imagine when you have the worst flu you've ever had in your entire life. It was that times 1,000. It was awful.
And that was completely preventable.
Yep, 100%.
At the hospital, they induced labor and then immediately sent Amanda to the intensive care unit. Her daughter, Willow, was stillborn. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists says each patient, like Amanda, brings unique medical considerations to the table. And that's why it believes these bans and legislative interference in the practice of medicine is incredibly dangerous to women's health.
Jennifer, what room am I going to?
Dr. Leah Tatum treats patients at Austin Regional, one of the largest primary medical clinics in Central Texas. She says the ambiguity of the way the law is written is causing stress and anxiety for providers across the state.
I'm coming at this from a very objective medical standpoint. I mean, a pregnancy has more risk to the patient that is carrying the pregnancy than an early termination would. At what point by the law are they
Go straight on.
Patients likely risk?
I decided to step back from seeing patients.
And there are those like Dr. Judy Levison in Houston who decided it wasn't possible to continue practicing medicine, partially because of these bans.
I was taking care of primarily low-income women where were they going to get an abortion? How were they going to afford traveling, getting childcare, and losing their employment, perhaps? And I suddenly felt like my hands had been tied behind my back.
When people think of Austin, the vibrant music scene is usually the first thing that pops into their head, but it's also the seat of government for the state of Texas. And I'm outside of the state capitol building, and here is where the various laws were negotiated, were passed. And I've come here to speak to the legislative director of Texas Right to Life, a group that really pushed.
Go straight on.
It's beautiful. It's made of pink granite, so we'll say like the pink dome.
Rebecca Parma has headed up drafting for anti-abortion policies. Despite concerns from doctors and women like Amanda, she says the law is written as intended and the problem lies with its implementation.
Our law is very clear that imminence is not necessary for a doctor stepping in. So the imminence of the woman's death or a serious bodily injury, it just has to be foreseen. So if a doctor can foresee that this woman has sepsis, that could end up being life-threatening, they can act immediately.
And what do you say to those doctors who have expressed fear that it's their career, it's their family that's on the line if, a lawyer disagrees with their assessment?
Certainly, I can understand their fear in that. And the law is very clear that they do not need to be afraid to provide care in a medical emergency situation.
The other piece I wanted to ask you about is the women who have been forced to carry their babies to term, who they know are not going to survive. Mm-hmm. Was that the intention behind this law, to make these women go through that?
Those women are facing incredibly difficult situations, certainly. We don't have an exception for a fetal abnormality, the cases that these women have in our law, and that is intentional, and that's because we believe every life is worthy of protection and value.
It's a beautiful area. Lady Bird Lake is a really popular destination in Austin for...
Taylor Edwards would have been forced to carry her unviable fetus if she did not leave Texas for an abortion. At her 17-week anatomy scan, the doctor saw the baby's brain protruding out of the back of her skull.
He really quickly said, "This baby will not survive." And I was just like, "What? Excuse me? What do you mean?" He's like, "It's not going to survive. She will either die in utero or you will give birth and she will die a few minutes later." And
just point blank.
Yeah. And so I just started screaming. I just I don't know what took over me. I'm pretty reserved in public especially, but I was just screaming, screaming.
Scheduling an abortion outside of Texas was difficult and costly. 3 hours before she was due to fly to New Mexico, the clinic said they ran out of the necessary medication for the procedure. She eventually got an appointment later in Colorado.
Hey up, Lamer, how you diddly doing? Well, you have a safe drive, my friend, and look after yourself. Nice to see you.
I don't know how to explain to people how absolutely terrible it is knowing you're carrying around a baby that is not going to live, and then having to go out of state. My husband and I were in a hotel room for the multiple day procedure, and we weren't able to have family supporting us.
Taylor and Amanda decided to sue Texas. Others have joined the lawsuit with a total of 13 women and 2 doctors named as plaintiffs. The state has asked the judge to dismiss the case.
So just so you know, we have a short hearing with the court on Thursday.
They are being represented by the Center for...
I hope not, Lamer. Take it easy. Try not to hit the animals. Just saying.
The majority of deaths in Texas are preventable if we just had access to quality, comprehensive reproductive health care. And when it comes to abortion bans, as our lawsuit emphasizes, abortion is health care.
Molly Duane from the Centre for Reproductive Rights, sending that report by Neda Tawfik. This is Weekend. Past the hour, Paul Serres joins us with the latest sports news.
Australia will resume on 14 without loss on day 2 of the first Test match, 379 runs behind after England declared with half an hour remaining on day one the earliest operation in Ashes history. The BBC's cricket correspondent Jonathan Agnew looks ahead to day two.
It'll be interesting to see how Australia respond after Stokes' adventurous declaration. They were unusually defensive in the field with boundary riders set all day, so the likeliest scenario is that Australia will employ traditional tactics with the bat, with the aim of establishing a lead on a pitch that is already uneven. England's batting yesterday was very positive and only occasionally reckless. No and broad faced wild swipes.
We do have sleep spots, so it's not so bad. We do have options. What we got till the next sleep? 9 hours 10 minutes. Oh, bless you. Well, take your time, Cody. Take it nice and easy.
In golf, Ricky Fowler shot a second round 68 to take a one-stroke lead into the weekend at the US Open. Football, and England maintains their 100% start to European Championship qualifying with a routine 4-0 win over Malta. Elsewhere, the World Cup finalists France.
9 hours till we need to sleep.
And there were victories for Greece.
That'll soon get carved down. We'll see.
Africa Cup of Nations qualifying resumes later on Saturday. Central African Republic could qualify for their first ever AFCON with victory over Angola in the Cameroonian city of Douala. They're forced to play their home matches abroad as no suitable venues exist in Central African Republic. Their manager Raoul Savoy says it's a source of frustration for the fans and players.
Of course, they are sad about that, and I think opponents are lucky because to play in Bangui is not the same that to play in Douala when maybe.
Ideally, we want to sleep the nights away, but whether we'll be able to or not, well, we'll have to see.
More easy, but the players know the situation and they dream every day.
Pay attention, Eebs.
One day, if the government make the efforts and maybe FIFA become a little bit lower in what they ask for the stadiums in Africa, maybe we can play a game in Bangui. But for now, we have to focus on the game here in Douala, and then maybe we go there for the party, and enjoying with the fans there at home.
Elsewhere, Zambia face Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa host Morocco, and Senegal travel to Benin. And in Formula One, the Mercedes pair of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were quickest in second practice ahead of this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal.
And that was Paul Ceres. Now, at this time of the year here in London, you'll see plenty of people with red eyes, streaming noses, itchy throats. It's hay fever just as the sun comes out and people want to spend more time outdoors. Well, some governments are trying to relieve the suffering. In Japan, for example, the Prime Minister has declared a war on pollen, cedar and cypress trees are to blame there. And it's not just hay fever. Allergies extend to asthma and eczema. And then there are those associated with certain foods. Teresa McPhail is a medical anthropologist and author of a new book, Allergic: How Our Immune System Reacts to a Changing World. In it, she says allergies are affecting more and more people.
Well, it's a combination of factors. The first is obviously nowhere on Earth isn't experiencing some sort of climate-related weather pattern change. So a lot of places are getting warmer and their growing seasons are getting longer, so that's leading to a lot more pollen in the air. And other places are getting wetter, so they're getting more flooding, and those places are getting more mold spores, so that's also leading to a lot more respiratory allergies. But for food allergies and for eczema, what we found as countries move into higher socioeconomic status, so as you move more people into the middle classes, they start to change their lifestyle. Primarily, they change their eating habits a lot. So they start eating more meat, maybe stop eating as much fresh fruit and vegetables. And so we found as countries move along that path, they start to develop things like eczema and food allergy, as well as things like asthma.
So that all suggests that almost nowhere in the world escapes this general picture of rising allergy rates.
That's really becoming increasingly true. You do still have pockets where the sensitization is lower, but that's quickly dissolving. So India just got through with its big problem with asthma, and now they're just starting to see things like food allergies, and the same with China. And we found that even in places like Uganda, which still live a lot in rural areas, that if you go out into the farming villages, you're finding that people there are starting to develop respiratory allergies and asthma as well. So it is really true that this is becoming a global problem. And right now, about 40% of the global population has an allergy to at least one thing. and we're expecting that to go up to 50% in about 10 years.
And of that list you outlined at the start, whether it's food or pollen or the consequences of flooding, is there one of those that you're most worried about?
So there's a big connection between air pollution and the development of asthma. And so you're seeing rates rise as countries industrialize, so that's going to be a
Go
bigger
straight
problem. And also the microbiome, so the food connection, the various bacteria and viruses and fungus living in our gut. The food that we eat has a big impact on them. So as our diets shift, we start eating more manufactured food, we're really messing with our own systems and having an effect on our immune system.
How much was the global pandemic part of this story?
There was quite a lot of variation in COVID rates by geographic area. And one of the things that they found is that it correlated with pollen loads. And so things like pollen can give viruses a little bit of a hitch of a ride, almost like they're hailing a cab. And the same true of air pollution. So all of those particles that we can't see are kind of intermixing and then getting delivered deep into our lungs.
In terms of addressing the problem, clearly some of this is big picture stuff about, for example, the consequences of climate change.
Go straight
but on.
on.
More of a micro level, what can individuals do to combat some of this?
I think we really need to start thinking about bacteria and viruses. So do our nasal cavities and our gut microbiome. And they interact with our immune cells all the time, and they kind of help to train and then moderate the immune response. So I think we need to start making decisions not just for us, but for the bacteria and viruses that live in and on us. So you can eat more fresh fruit and vegetable if you have access to it, because you're feeding the gut microbiome great bacteria. Maybe cut down on fat and sugar, because you're going to balance out. You can watch what you put on your skin, and you can advocate for things like fresher air, and you can think about what things you're planting and think about what kinds of pollen you're introducing into your environment.
But when it comes to climate change, to pollen, to flooding, under that heading, that requires international action, frankly, doesn't it? And it's not going to change anything in the next year or so.
That's absolutely right. And I often say that allergy sufferers are the canaries in the climate change coal mine. So we often think of the effects of climate change happening maybe 30, 40, 50 years down the road. But allergy sufferers can tell you it's having biological effects right now.
And that is the medical anthropologist, Teresa McPhail, on why allergies are on the rise, something we will reflect on a little bit later on in the programme. I'll introduce you to my two guests in the next half hour as well. This is Weekend from the BBC World Service. The headlines are next.
Distribution
Go straight
of
on.
the BBC World Service in the U.S. is made possible by American Public Media, producer and distributor of award-winning public radio content. APM, American Public Media, with support from Angie, dedicated to helping homeowners get home projects not just done, but done well. Reviews, pricing, and booking at Angie.com or on the Angie app.
Since Jimmy Carter, North Carolina has only voted for one other Democrat for president. But the state's new party chair believes there is a path to a win in 2024, untapped rural votes.
We don't have a messaging problem, we got a showing up problem, and Democrats have just not done it for a while.
How 2024 might come down to North Carolina. Saturday and Weekend Edition from NPR News.
Weekend, 7 to 9 a.m.
5:30 GMT, this is Weekend from the BBC World Service. Still to come, tackling wildfires. A new documentary examines the growing challenges facing firefighters. We mark the death of the whistleblower who exposed the extent of US involvement in the Vietnam War. And remembering one of Britain's finest actors, Glenda Jackson. That's all here on Weekend with me, Julian Morica, after the World News.
BBC News with Chris Barrow. The police in Uganda say that Islamist militants have killed at least 25 people at a secondary school in the west of the country. Dozens are feared to have been abducted. The police say that the ADF, a Ugandan group based in the Democratic Republic of Congo, is to blame. Brazil's Justice Minister has said those responsible for plotting a coup that would have prevented President Lula da Silva from taking office must face the full force of the law. He was speaking after police found a document detailing such plans on the mobile phone of an aide to the former president Jair Bolsonaro. African leaders who met Ukraine's President Zelensky on Friday are due to arrive in St. Petersburg later to meet the Russian President Vladimir Putin. North Korean state media say the ruling party is holding a key meeting to discuss defense strategy and how to improve the country's struggling economy. The North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is attending the conference, which opened on Friday. Jihadists have murdered at least 7 farmers in Nigeria's northeastern Borno state. Local militia leaders and officials said the farmers were decapitated by Boko Haram militants. Mexico says the warming of its coastal waters is the most likely reason for the recent large increase in the number of birds dying at sea. As the surface temperature rises, fish swim deeper underwater, depriving the birds of food. The former Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova has been presented with Russia's Order of Gagarin 60 years after she became the first woman in space. Ms. Tereshkova is still the only woman to have flown a solo space mission. Archaeologists in Germany have uncovered a bronze sword thought to be more than 3,000 years old. The weapon was found in a grave in the town of Nordlingen. I'm Chris Barrow, and that's the latest BBC News.
You're listening to the BBC World Service. I'm Julian Miracle with Weekend, and I have 2 guests with me for the rest of the programme to offer their perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. With me here in the London studio is Manmit Bambara, Inclusion and Access Lead at the Old Vic Theatre here in London. Manmit, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And in our Sheffield studio in Northern England, Remy Adekoya, Politics Lecturer at the University of York. Remy, welcome back to the programme.
Thanks for having me.
In fact, welcome back to you both. Manmit, a word to you about the job I just mentioned is a comparatively new one. Congratulations. Tell us about what the role actually entails.
Thank you so much. It is a new one that I'm almost 3 months into now. So I am now the Inclusion Access Lead at the Old Vic, which means that I am part of leading the strategy on inclusion and belonging.
Well done, Lama. Glad you made it home safe, dude.
Everything really, from what we showcase, who we put on stage, the things that we put our energies into outside the theatre, outreach. So it's a big change.
5 hours and 8 minutes. Where's the bloody next one? That's the thing.
Where were you before?
So I was at the LSE for almost 8 years teaching.
London School of Economics.
Yes,
yeah.
London School of Economics teaching. But in the last few years, I worked increasingly
It's
with
here.
LSE's consultation arm, LSE
Yeah,
Consulting,
perfect.
doing more and more equality, diversity, inclusion consultations.
Okay.
And that kind of
Drive
my skill
safe.
set to this new role at the Old Vic.
And we should say something about the
Let us
Old Vic,
proceed,
which is
First Secretary.
audience, some of whom we weren't
Bear with
much
me a
of
second,
grasp
be right
of
back.
The Old Vic means and what it is. I mean, this is a London theatre with a real history, isn't it?
I think it's a landmark theatre in London. It is a place that has showcased some of the most remarkable productions, but it's also a place that is now spearheading, I think, a new direction in theatre and arts, where we're trying to really reflect the society that we are in, particularly London, the diversity of London and everything that we do. So it's changing, and we're trying to be at the forefront of that.
Remy, not a new job for you, but a new book, which is only out in, I think, the last few weeks. It's not about whiteness, it's about wealth. Tell us what you're saying in that book.
So the book takes a big picture look at what actually drives the racial dynamics of our world. So I'd say much of the anger and frustration which we see these days around race is around the idea that we still live in a world of racial hierarchies, that these are no longer formalized as they used to be during the colonial era or during the era of the slave trade, but that we still live in a world in which there is an implicit racial order that places white people at the top, black people at the bottom, and everyone else somewhere in between. Now, the reason why slogans like Black Lives Matter resonated with people even in Africa, so with Kenyans, Nigerians, people who have never met a white police officer in their lives and have no cause to fear white police officers actually, is because that idea that black lives seem to matter less than other lives and that white lives seem to matter more than other lives is an idea which people feel all over the world. And now people say, okay, look, so I looked at this and said, okay, look, this hierarchy has generally existed for roughly 500 years. The question is, why does it persist? Now, the answer to that usually given here is what I describe as an obsessive focus on whiteness, as if whiteness contains some magical power in of itself which was perpetuating a hierarchy, but it doesn't. Now, racial hierarchies always reflect differences in power and status, so I said, okay, what gives some racial groups more power and status than others? Now, in the capitalist world that we live in, wealth is the answer I came up with, money. So if we look at internal gaps, racial wealth gaps in the US and in the UK, they are huge. So for instance, the average white British household has wealth roughly to the tune of £315,000. The average black African household has wealth roughly to the tune of £35,000. So we have huge differences internally. But then we also have huge differences between nations, because I take a sort of international look at this. Now, if you added the GDP of all the black majority nations in the world together, they still come up to less than the GDP of Germany. Think about that for a minute. And this shapes racial dynamics in all spheres of our life, starting from migration to the media, academia, who controls with sort of knowledge, power, technology, and so many sort of aspects of our life. And I'll tell you a group I'm particularly disappointed with in this whole discussion, I'd say, is white progressives, because white progressives talk a very good game when it comes to race. But the problem is that this usually stops at moral arguments about how bad they think it is that racism still exists and that there are racial hierarchies, and a focus on education. But I say that, look, while these are important, these are not going to disappear a racial order, because a racial order can't persist without racists if the wealth gaps are huge enough, because those create the power and status gaps. So these are the issues we really have to tackle, and that's what I argue for in my book.
Okay, it's not about whiteness, it's about wealth, is the name of Remy's book. Plenty more to come from him and from Manu throughout the programme. As we head to the western United States, one of the most striking images to appear in the news in the past couple of weeks was of Brooklyn Bridge in New York, that's in the eastern United States, of course, smothered in a dense orange smog. People in the city spoke of the smell of campfires, masks not worn since the pandemic were back on. The air quality index reached hazardous. The smoke had drifted hundreds of kilometres south from more than 400 wildfires in Canada. And there was much that people could do other than heed the advice to stay indoors. But is there more that can be done to limit the damage done by such fires? Well, a documentary film released this week asks that very question. It's called Elemental: Reimagine Wildfire.
We are stuck in it. It's hot right now. There's explosions everywhere. Ah! It's okay, you guys, it's okay. Oh my god, oh my god. The last thing I remember hearing Daniel say was, "Don't worry, I'm gonna find you."
We have a real problem. Small towns being incinerated by wildfires we cannot stop.
Well, the director of Elemental, Trip Jennings, joins us now from Portland, Oregon, which is where the western United States crept into my mind. Trip, welcome to the programme. Good morning from London.
Thanks very much for having me. Excited to chat with you about this.
Tell me about the essence of this and what you're trying to get across to people, because I've watched some of it. I mean, clearly the footage that you include in this film is horrifying, but there's a more important message in here, isn't there, about how we tackle this issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 6 years ago, we started realizing, that the problem of wildfire was growing. It absolutely, from 2004 to 2018, there was a 10,000% increase in homes burned in wildfires. And so, we had to say, okay, what are we doing now that's not working? And what can we add to this conversation in this situation as the climate warms, right? I mean, even in London, outside London, there were a few dozen homes burned in wildfire last year. And so, this is not only a West Coast of the United States problem, but a global problem. And it seemed to me, and the deeper that we got into it, the more this was reinforced over and over is that the narratives and the ways we explain fire have led us to do things that are not necessarily in our own best interest, and they're not working, right? So we are blaming forests for a problem that is happening across all sorts of different ecosystems, right?
Go straight
We're putting
on.
so much of our emphasis and energy into managing forests, and that's taken our focus off of the things that are the most important to us, which is our homes, our communities, our families, our friends, and keeping those things safe. So
let me concentrate on that for a moment, because your message, as I understood it, was that clearly, as you say, these fires are getting worse, not necessarily the numbers of them, but the severity of them when they happen.
That's right.
And when they approach properties, homes, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's devastating. That's where we need to concentrate in terms of how we better handle these situations.
That's right. I mean, we live, in landscapes all over the world, which are defined by fire. They've always had fire. And what we're realizing more and more is that we can't fully get rid of that fire. We can prepare for it, right? If we put our energy into the right places. And not only that, but putting our energy into the right places, thankfully, also overlaps with doing a lot of things to our homes that can make them more efficient and sort of address climate change, address carbon pollution at the same time as making our homes safe, right? So when we think that the problem is in the forest and we cut down the forest, we, of course, release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and make the problem worse. But when we focus on our homes, which is scientifically proven to work, we can even double dip in a lot of benefits across the board.
Doing things such as what?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, people really think about the walls. I think that's one of these narratives, right? Is there's this 200-foot wall
and then
of
continue
flames
straight
coming
on.
to your house, and you've got to have fireproof walls. And it turns out that's not normally
Go
how
straight
houses burn
on.
down. The overwhelming majority of homes burn down because small embers are blowing a mile or even 2 miles in front of the fire front, and they're getting into little details like the vents on our attics, or our pet doors even. And so it turns out that it's a real attention to detail that is needed. So we put screens on our vents. We make sure that the garden beds around our houses are 5 feet from the house, and we have a 5-foot non-combustible perimeter around the house, things like that, which we see over and over in the science protects homes, much more than many of the other things that we're currently doing.
Let me bring my guests in, and I want to ask you a question or two as they hear you speaking. Ronnie, what's on your mind as you listen to Trip?
What's on my mind, actually, I read something very interesting in an article about Tripp's film. I was wondering if I could ask Trip a question on that.
Keep
He
right,
mentioned that
and then turn
indigenous
right.
communities spoke about how actually we might want to approach the issue of fire differently, in the sense that fire can sometimes be good for the environment.
Turn right.
Of course, not the impact it has on people, but for the environment specifically. So I was wondering if Tripp could expand on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I learned so much from filming and really getting to know, specifically the Yurok tribe, people from the Yurok tribe who have never been displaced from their homeland in the United States, which is very unusual for Native Americans. And that means they have this culture of living with fire, of living in this fire-prone landscape since time immemorial. And it's so striking. I mean, the solutions that they do, the exact things that they do, may not necessarily be the solutions for a suburb in LA, but there's so much we can learn from them. And yeah, one of those things is that fire is very important for the landscape. Fire rejuvenates, fire...
Hello, Heather. Welcome. How you doing, sweetheart? Nice to see you. Hope you're safe and well. Okay, let's go and find a sleep spot.
And one of the amazing things that they do is they burn relatively close to communities. So
and we can carry on with this epic drive.
So that they take care of a lot of the undergrowth, a lot of the small, fine fuels that sit on the forest floor around their homes and communities. And so that not only makes them safer, but it actually also improves raw materials like basket weaving materials.
Get ready to turn left.
Acorns that they use for food, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I learned so much from them, and so much about the benefits of fire.
I was just thinking in terms of wildlife. you know, obviously there is this, as you say, this perception that fire can be good, but the impact of these fires on wildlife populations is quite devastating. Is there anything that could be done in terms of protecting our wildlife from of these fires, or do you think that's just an inevitable consequence of this climate
Finding
change?
a new route.
Well, the truth of the impact on wildlife is half what you say, for sure. I mean, obviously, you know, if we're losing a lot of habitat and animals are being forced to move, they of course don't have access to forecasts like we do. But we spent 5 years producing this film in landscapes that were burned and seeing all of the new food sources that come up after a fire, all of the diversity of habitat.
I tried ATS a few minutes ago, my laptop, and it boots up good and plays good. That's awesome, Heather. Good for you, girl. You enjoy. You fill them boots. This is just the best profile I've ever done, Heather. It's just the immersion levels are just mind-numbing. So we've got some dynamite on the back, and we are going to need to stop again, probably at Billings. Maybe at Billings to fuel and to sleep again.
Responses from firefighters who say things like, "Thank you for communicating some of the limits of what we
Reset
can do
now.
as firefighters, because
so we want to go here,
need on the landscape, but can't
and
put out
then
every
here.
fire. And they need help. They need help from the
Okay.
communities that are most at risk.
Okay, here
So
we go.
we've been partnering with
This is just blown me away, Heath. This is on the little cost of living crisis PC with a 2 GB graphics card. And I'm just absolutely thrilled with it. The simulation is just through the roof. The truck actually works properly. I'm just made up. I'm glad it's all working for you, Heather, because now you can have some pleasure on your American truck sim.
The former US military analyst's leak of the Pentagon.
I didn't think that was going to get round there. You know, it's a real bloody issue, this is.
Administration tried to block publication in the New York Times. The case led to Daniel Ellsberg being dubbed
Real bloody issue trying to get out of these places with these big trailers on.
Dismissed. His family say he died.
I have to go the other way if I can.
Of pancreatic cancer. The news hours
Okay,
of Razi Iqbal
let's
spoke
find
to
a
him in
new
December
route.
2021 about the Pentagon Papers.
I struggle to get out this way as well, look, at the fence.
Led to what he did.
Come on.
Well, the impetus was much more than the fact that it wasn't winnable. That didn't spur anyone, including me,
Come
to
on.
take actions that might put them in jail. The things that moved me along on that were
Ross.
to discover from researching
Bloody trailers are a pain in the arse. I might drop the trailers in future and go and sleep. It will go in a minute. There it goes. We try to damage the trailer, of course. Little shit.
Get ready to turn left.
Oh, well. It's what it is. What are you going to do?
Turn left.
I think we're going to have to drop the trailers in future.
For Americans to be killing anyone abroad. And then I learned
Because a lot of these chops shops with the sleep facilities are just not conducive to huge trailers.
Go straight on.
Hey up CFW, how you doing? Lovely to see you, my friend. Hope you're safe and well. You got your Bluetooth headphones connected to the laptop. Awesome, Has. So you're in a great place, girl. This is just, as I say, the best. Oh, I can't do it that way. This is just the absolute best profile I've ever done in terms of immersion. It is back on 136 because we're on the little cost of living crisis PC with a 2 GB graphics card. I have today bought a new graphics card, an 8 GB RX 580, so that should be here in a week or two. That will go into the main PC, and then the GDX 1050 Ti that's currently in the main, I'm going to take the AMD out and put the 1050 in, and that'll give us double the grunt of what we've already got with the AMD. But more importantly, it will allow us full access to NVIDIA Profile Inspector and Multimon, which we don't have at the minute with AMD. So that'll be interesting. So let's carry on with this epic journey in our beautiful SCS T680, complete with our Alcoa wheels, a unique engine and unique Eaton Fuller transmissions that just makes the whole thing so realistic. Well, as realistic as it can be anyway.
Get ready to turn left.
So we're actually on our way to Vancouver to coastline mining. We've got 13 hours and 50 minutes until our next rest stop. And we've got 24 hours on the journey to do, so we are going to have to sleep again. But trying to get your fuel stops and your sleep stops synced ain't easy. I guess as it's not in real life. But it is all part and parcel of the game. We are running quite a lot of mods. We do have the whole of the United States and Canada installed on this profile, as you can see. So we've got tons and tons of driving possibilities, and it's all running beautifully on the little 2GB Radeon. I do expect it to look and run even better on the 1050 Ti when we put that in, and get the NVIDIA Profile Inspector up and running, because that will really allow us to get the most out of the 1050 Ti. Oh, that's interesting. We've got a street lamp in the middle of the road-ish. Oh well. I suppose for 136 we can live with that sort of anomaly. Okay, let's get back on our merry way. Yeah, we are speeding, aren't we? Not good. No, Vancouver, Washington. Heather, well spotted. Not Canada, but actually Washington. So we're kind of heading out of Canada's Dream into coast to coast, and then out of coast to coast and into SCS, which is pretty cool. But I put all the hard work and the effort in on, you know, a lot of hours on getting the truck right, making sure that it acts as it should act in real life. It's not perfect because we're back on 136, and we don't have the cab movement options that we do on the latest version. But the latest version is just way too much of this little 2GB graphics card. 136 is fine, but obviously
exit right.
The 1050 will be even better. We can then go in and start really expanding the spawn distances of both the scenery and the traffic to make it even more immersive. But I absolutely love it. I really, really do. It's about the most realistic profile I've ever done. And it was quite difficult because you've really got to go hunting mods, as it's an older 136 build from 2020. But the mods are still available. You've just got to go hunt them out. But so worth the effort. And as I say, I absolutely love it. It's just the perfect, so much better than Euro Truck. In terms of the simulation, it's just fantastic, and that's really what I've always been after. And as I say, when you consider I'm playing this on a keyboard, no steering wheel or pedals, it's very satisfying, I have to say. I don't know what speed you're going to get up to, big boy. We're going to sit at 55, which is our cruise speed. I've built the truck for a combination of normal loads and super heavy loads. So the torque is all at the grunt end and not the top end. So, you know, it can pretty much pull anything. We do have a couple of amazing trailer packs installed. And the whole thing just seems to come to life. Morning Bexy, how you diddly doing, girl? Hope you slept alright. Excuse me. So, yeah. I'm very, very happy and delighted with it. As I say, I will be performing hardware upgrades on this little PC the next week or so when we get the new AMD RX 580 that go into the main PC, so then we can really NVIDIA profile inspector this out and just get the absolute best out of it. We should have, yeah, we've got stacks of time to complete the delivery. What is it, dynamite? Yeah, £37,000 of dynamite, that's not good. Just saying, come on big boy, you pedal on the metal. That's a little bit tight for my liking, but anyway. We do have full damage on, we've got sleep on, fatigue, we've got full fines on and everything else. So as I say, for me the immersion's right up there. Morning EB. Unfortunately I didn't sleep well. Oh, I'm so sorry Bex. That's a shame. Why was that? Oh, thank you Heather, that's awesome. Hopefully it looks nice on your screens even though it's only 720. Once we get the GDX 1050 Ti and NVIDIA profile inspector in, I will have a go at upping it to 1080p because the 1050 should handle the 1080p just fine, with it being rolled back on 136. Should be good. Hey up to head, how you diddly doing? Europe 3 update, I don't know what that means, dude, sorry. Too hot and dogs kept waiting. Oh, I'm sorry, Bex. That's terrible, chick. Well, can you not get a doze today? Get a nana nap in today, Bexy. I'm going to have a nana nap for after the night shift tonight. I didn't get bed till late last night. It was gone 11 when I went bed. We had some family visitors and they didn't go till 11, so I had a late night, which is unusual for me. Nevertheless, so we are going to have to sleep again. We've got 11 hours though, we should be fine to make it to our next spot stop, our next fuel and kip. But I am going to have to go and make a coffee, so you'll have to bear with me for a couple of minutes. Shouldn't take me too long. Really do need a Java update this time of the morning. But as I say, in terms of realism, it's just amazing. I've even got an American radio news channel that I've been listening to, which is pretty cool as well, to keep us company on the longer journeys, which is nice. Turned it off at the minute just to give you all a break from it because it's on BBC World Service anyway. But yeah, pretty darn stoked and excited with this build. I've really bought the AMD RX 580 for the wrong reasons. I've actually bought that to free up the 1050, which is not really the best idea in the world, is it? But anyway, oh dear, that don't sound very good. Oh, toll of $0 paid. Bizarre. Okay. I've worked hard on the bounce on the cab to get it kind of spot on. I can't imagine an ambulance having to pay toll fees, but anyway. But as I say, we don't have access to the movement in 136 that we do on the 147 or the Beta 148. And as you can see here, the rendering distances on the little AMD 2GB graphics cards are limited. But it's okay, it will start building them as we get closer to it, which is a bit off-putting. The 1050 Ti should resolve that, especially with MVP. It should start to generate it much earlier and much better for us. The other thing that I do love about this map combo is, you know, the really steep hills and sharp inclines. It's all working really well, but until I've driven every mile of the map, I won't know, you know, if there are holes in the map or if there's issues. As I say, this truck is built for grunt, built for torque. It's got a very special engine in it and a very special Eaton Fuller transmission, which I don't think too many other streamers will be using. The whole build profile itself is very special, and as I say, all the mods seem to dovetail together beautifully to give you a really amazing immersive experience. Now if you just want to jump in a truck and do 300 mph to your destination, well, this build certainly isn't for you. But if you do want some challenging drives, well, I don't even know if realistic is the word to use. I prefer simulation or immersion. And after Paul, sorry big boy, I don't even know if we're going to make it up this hill. I don't know why that ambulance is struggling. He should be flying up here. There you go. But I'm very impressed with this engine transmission combo, that is for sure. I ought to get over here now, and in that it is very simulation. It's brilliant. You know, you can't just go tanking up big hills. You got to struggle like mad. Thank you, CFW. As I say, we don't have the luxuries that the latest builds offer us. We don't have anywhere near the options. We still have an awful lot of console commands that we can enter to really tweak the game, which is what I've done. And it certainly made a big difference to the immersion. But as I say, the big discovery for me was the specialist engines with the real torque grunt in them, and the Eaton Fuller transmissions, which are amazing. You just get so many of them. I think there's 1,000 different Eaton Fullers with just about every ratio and torque configuration you could ever want, which is pretty awesome. What's going on here? Is he stopped? Jesus, this is an incline. I'm sure this doesn't exist in real life, but nevertheless it's bloody challenging. So you've got to make sure that when you do your journeys and you're picking your loads, your truck's got enough grunt to complete the loads. Now, I did have all the Mexico maps installed and ATMX on this profile, but I removed them because A, they degraded the quality, and B, they tended to spread their traffic all over all of the maps, which I really did not like. So that's why I've limited it to Canada Dream and Coast to Coast with all the SCS DLCs. So we should have a fairly consistent blend between the 3 map mods, and it all seems to be working beautifully. Now these are not the same map mods that I was using for a no DLC build. This is with all the DLCs up to and including Utah. So if you wanted to replicate this build, you would need all the DLCs up to Utah, which was, I believe, mid-2020. So I thought this build was a lot older. I thought it was harking back to sort of 2019, but no, 2020 the build, which is amazing. And the other reason I chose 136 is because 137 patch is when they introduced the Fmod sound system, and that caused an awful lot of issues in and of itself. So I really did want to go pre-Fmod to get the best. Fmod, although it's a sound system, really did affect the graphical quality when it was first released compared to 136, so that's why we're on 136 as our chosen platform for the game. But yeah, very, very happy with it. Just bear with me a second. It looks stunning. Thank you, Bexy. I'm still on K-Dogs, locked down on 146.50. Well, good for you, CFW. That's awesome, man. Well, I would have considered K-Dogs, but of course K-Dogs wasn't available for 136, so he hadn't brought it out yet. There were a couple of K-Dogs type map compilation mods available on 136, but they were iffy at best. So I decided to just go ahead and do the build manual myself, knowing that everything would work properly and be in the correct order, which again is really super important for an immersive experience on your American truck. Not having the mods in the right order can have a huge impact on your game, it really can. And also having incompatible mods that just will not work with each other is also a big challenge as well. Now, it's one that I enjoyed doing, and as I say, this is the result. Well, on a 2 GB graphics card, not only playing the game, remember, but also streaming it. I've kind of blown myself away. It's just stunning, and I've trawled the length and breadth of YouTube to watch other streamers' streams and, you know, other people's recordings of it, and they're all full of micro stutters, and you know, the truck doesn't really handle realistically, and they claim to play it with immersion, but it's not really that immersive, because the TAS in here, there and everywhere. You know, the truck corners like it's a train on rails, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I kind of really went for maximum immersion, and to try and get the truck to handle as realistically as possible without being silly. You know, the smoke out the stacks again is another lovely little touch, which I love about the 136 platform. Excuse me. And we still have all my must-have mods available for 136 as well, including things like, you know, extra delivery time, the steering wheel keyboard mod, you know, loads of little things like that, that really do make a huge difference to your immersive enjoyment. Now, the other reason that I went for an SCS truck, of course, as opposed to a mod truck, of which there's a gazillion, is because of the engines and transmissions. They do work with some mod trucks, but you know, they really are designed to work with the SCS trucks. So I went for the T680 for a change. Really, we could have gone with the International. It does work with all the trucks, but I've never heard of these engines that we've got in here before, and they are, as I say, specifically designed and made for immersion and for grunt, rather than tazzing round top end. But when you match it with a good eaten fuller transmission like what we've got installed, and we have got a ton of choice on them. It makes the truck just absolutely come alive. It really does, rather than just having generic engines and a you know, an 18 speed or a 13 speed box in with you know, crap ratios that are nothing like they are in real life. You know, as I say, these engines and transmission combos have just made such a difference to your simulation experience. They really have. And you even get things, it's the little touches that make the difference. So now and again you'll even hear the air seat creak, which is so cool. Very cool. It's a great little build. Is it perfect? No. But hot damn, it's about as good as what I've ever been able to get out of it, that's for sure. And as I say, that is a lot of value for money. You can see we've got the cab bounce, but it's not ridiculous. But the cabs do move about in real life. Oh, nice Porsche trailer. And also everything seems to just dovetail and work really, really well with each other. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with it. I'm not sure about that emergency vehicles pack. I might take that out, but if it starts to get on my pip, it's not too bad. At least you don't hear the sirens for like 20 miles after they've gone by you. Oh, we get a bit fresh air. 60 mile an hour, the engine starts complaining. I'm going to knock it back to 55, otherwise, well, ish. There we go. Hey Greg, how you diddly doing? Nice to see you all. Thank you all for joining. As I say, I think once we remove the AMD graphics card, the little 2 gig RX 460, which has been an absolute stalwart, and upgrade it to the 1050 Ti with 4 gig of VRAM on, NVIDIA Profile Inspector and Multimon config, I think this profile will be absolutely stunning. But as I say, cost of living crisis, people are struggling for money. There's not many that can go out and just splash 5 or 7 grand on a gaming rig. So, you know, I'm just trying to show what is doable in the real world with a very limited budget. And not only can we play it, we can also stream it in 720p quite comfortably. In order to upgrade it to 1080p, I'm going to have to stick the 1050 in and NVP it. But this little card I've got no complaints about whatsoever. Absolutely stunning. And as I say, with the combination of the engines, the transmissions, the mods we've got installed, we've got about as much immersion as we can handle.
Keep right and then exit right.
As I say, we've got the whole of the United States and Canada. We've got all the SCS DLCs installed up to and including
right.
Utah. So we have got a nice selection of content that's you know, fairly consistent. I'm not suggesting that Coast to Coast and Canada Dream are SCS quality, they're not, but you know, again, for zero money it gives you access to the whole of the United States and Canada, which is pretty darn cool for free. Go on then, off you go. Shift it. Is he gonna let you? No. Yeah, he is gonna let us go. Jolly good. So let's just see how we're doing on this epic journey. So this was the journey. We started off in Golden, all the way round to Regina. We stopped off in Regina, refueled and slept. And we're now going to head down to here, which is our next stop and sleep. And then we've got the final journey on into Vancouver, which is Vancouver, Washington, obviously not Canada. So we've literally gone from the Canada, our home base is in Fort McMurray. So we've gone through Canada Dream into coast to coast, and now we're coming down into SCS. And as I say, that's the reason I took both Mexico and ATMX out, because the quality difference was just too stark. Whereas I think we've got a pretty balanced experience with what we've got at the minute. And as you can see, the truck is beautifully geared and beautifully weighted toward grunt. So as I say, it won't just take off at 200 mile an hour. If immersion is what you want, which was my #1 key priority, because it is a simulator, so I wanted, you know, all the difficulties of the simulation of real life, if you like. It's not possible, I know, but you can still simulate quite a lot of the real life struggles of a truck driver in the States. And that's why I've left fatigue and fines and everything else on. Getting in and out of places, it is a struggle, it is a problem. There is a shortage of sleep places for truckers, and I just think all that combines for a really brilliant immersive simulation. If that's what you're after, if you just want to bed somewhere bashing into stuff, well, this ain't for you, that's for sure. Now when I get the RX 580, I'll put that in the main gaming rig, and I'll have a look at recreating this profile from the ground up on the latest 147, because the RX 580 will have a lot more grunt in it, but again it won't have NVIDIA Profile Inspector. If that becomes an issue, then I can always stick the GDX 1070 Ti 8GB in there and NVIDIA Profile Inspector it. Because that utility really does make that much of a difference. But so far Team Red has been absolutely amazing on 136, no doubt about it. And as I say, we've got no MVP or multi-mon config installed here, and that's not bad for a little tiny 2GB graphics cards. Kind of blows me away that not only can you play it, but you can stream it in 720p 60 frames a second, and it should look hopefully really nice on your guys and girls ends. You will probably notice the odd micro stutter here and there, it's to be expected. 2 secs all, I'll be right back. Sorry about that all, and I'm back. The short answer to your question, Greg, is yes. Providing A, you lower your expectations, and B, you put a little bit of work in to the immersion settings, you'll be fine. A Ryzen 5, if it's 6-core 12-thread, is fine. It just depends on which Vega graphics chip you're getting built on the motherboard. It should be absolutely fine. Yeah, it shouldn't be any issue at all. How far we got to a stop? Oh, it's going to be about perfect, fingers crossed, by the look of it. It should be about perfect, so it looks like our trip planning's starting to come of age. Oh, that's nasty, isn't it? Coast to coast is starting to do this to you. Just put horrendous turns in the middle of nowhere, which cracks me up, and it's dead easy to catch you out. Did you hear the seat creak there? I just love little touches like that. It's fantastic. That's the air seat creaking. Fantastic. That's immersion for you right there. Tiny little thing, but doesn't half make a difference to the immersion values. Yeah, you're welcome, Greg, and if you need any help, just let me know either in a live stream or on the Discord, and I'll help you out set it up, and then once it's done, you can just enjoy the pants out of it. Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear, Bexy. I'm glad you're really enjoying your new lappy. I think that'll give you a lot of enjoyment, my love. It really will. Give you a lot of pleasure. It's reliable, it lasts forever, and you can do all your stuff on it, Bibs, so it's great. Should be perfect for you. I know this is a bit of a long trip to do, but I really wanted to showcase a long trip for my first stream on this build, just to show the reliability with really you know, limited piss poor hardware, to be honest. To be frank, this is about as scraping the barrel as you can get, and still streaming it. If we didn't want to stream it, if it was just about playing it, it would be absolutely more than good enough. But streaming it really does pile the pressure on. So, you know, if you take everything overall,
Go straight on.
You know, the amount of mods, the amount of back-end work we've done on the game to get it to this level, you know, the hardware resources that we've got, the whole thing just blows me away. It's a wonderful immersive experience, especially if you lower your expectations. You'll be very satisfied and very impressed. You'll have potentially thousands and thousands of hours of driving pleasure, you know, simulating your truck driving life without the silliness, you know, of a stock game. I'll let Bexy tell you she did have a beautiful Ryzen 5 that unfortunately died, and we both think it got a kick out of the electricity circuit and it just blew the motherboard, the graphics, absolutely everything, which is unfortunate, but hey, it's real life. So I got her to go for what I thought was the best option for her. So she's gone from a Windows Ryzen 5 laptop, and I'll let Bexy tell you what she's got now. The laptop she got was a cracking deal. Absolutely beautiful. She saved a ton of money on it. It's full 1080p. Beautiful. Really nice bit of kit. Very impressed. Yep, she did get a bargain as well. She got between £500 to £600 laptop, and Bexy didn't pay anywhere near that. So she got what, in my opinion, is the deal of the decade. It was just a great buy. Really, really good buy. Just right place, right time. Facade discovered. Nice. So I take it this is not where we're coming off. No, it's the next one. Okay, that's good. That's perfect. That's really good timing, good scheduling. As the bed's about to go red. You can see we've got cab bounce, we've got some immersion in there, but it's not silly. We've got the creaking air seat. Fantastic. I just love it. Fuck, I love this game. I really do. I know it's each and every one to their own, but hey. No, that's alright, CFW, that's no worries. I'm trying to read the chat on my Chromebook. I think you'll all see a huge jump in graphical quality once we put the 1050 Ti in. It really will make that much of a difference. And as I say, we'll have a go up in it to 1080p streaming then as well. Which hopefully will just get better and better as we go through the profile. Now I'm going to do a full backup and copy of this onto the AMD RX 580 gaming rig, just in case for whatever reason this rig dies. But I am going to have a go at a 147 version of this as well when we get the 580, so we'll see how we get on. It's all good stuff. Gotta be done. Just gotta be done. Hey up, Robbie, good morning my friend, how are you? Lovely to see you all, Robbie, much love. So yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon that this is without a doubt the #1 best simulation profile I've ever built. As I say, quite a few hours sunk into it, with testing the mod load order out, tweaking all the settings. And of course running it on AMD, which has been a delight. And again, I stand by my two original statements that I think American Truck is the better of the two games. I always have, even though it's the least popular. And #2, I think AMD graphics cards give you a much punchier image compared to NVIDIA graphics cards. Now, those are both those statements are just opinion. I have no tangible facts to back those statements up. It's just opinion and experience of playing both games for an awful long while. But as I say, the biggest game changer for me with this profile over all of the profiles that I've ever done was the special engine and the special Eaton Fuller transmission packs that have made such a difference to try and to get the truck to behave how it would in real life, or as close as possible anyway. And I'm absolutely
Right.
delighted with it.
And then exit right.
Absolutely delighted.
Exit right.
It's made such a difference to the simulation and immersion, it really has. Okay, so this is our second
Turn right.
fuel stop slash sleepover, which we've got to do on this huge epic journey. With all this dynamite on the back. Not sure I should have took a job with dynamite, but anyway, it's paying very good dollar for us once we get to Vancouver in Washington. So yeah, money wise it's going to be worth every penny. Trip wise it's been a really good long hammer test for the hardware, which again was important to me, to make sure that everything is working as it's supposed to. And as I say, I'm just blown away that, you know, we've worked long and hard to get the mod order
right.
correct.
And then turn right.
The mods all seem to dovetail with each other. But as I say, the biggest eye-opener for me was the engine and transmission packs that I managed to get my sticky mitts on. I don't know, I know the engines are available on 147. I think the transmissions are. Because again, the transmission in conjunction with the engines makes such a difference to the simulation side of things. Because as you can see, the truck really is set up for torque and pulling. And the transmission, the way that it's geared and everything, it means that your truck doesn't just take off and, you know, you're doing 70 mile an hour in 2.2 seconds, which is ridiculous. And the combination of trailer packs and everything else that we installed on the profile is just fantastic. Everything just seems to work absolutely beautifully. Oh, I'm a boring you driver. Chab. This again is a car gas station, so it's going to present us with a couple of issues, but again, it's all about the simulation for me. You know, and truckers in real life have a tangible nightmare with everything from sleep spots to gas stations to God knows bloody what. So, night, Heather. Take care, my love. Well, that's just my opinion, Greg. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Euro Truck. I really do. It's great. But for me, as an Englishman living in England, for me, there's just nothing as epic as being able to drive the States in what I would suggest, arguably, are the best trucks on the planet. You know, we don't have anything like this in Europe. Ours are all crappy cab-overs, and they're all the bloody same, no matter which brand you've got on the steering wheel. Whereas you go to the States, you know, these are real handful trucks. I also tend to find that ATS is a lot more brutal
I'll find a new route.
on things like parking and deliveries.
Finding a new route.
So much more brutal, and I just think that is so cool compared to ETS. Okay, so there's our beautiful SCS Kenneth. So let's let him get his head down, and then we can crack on and complete the journey. So it's now 1:59 AM. Do we want to sleep again? Probably not, because that's going to put us at midday, isn't it? There is a mod available that changes the sleep to 4-hour sections rather than the standard 8-hour. I think it's 8, 12 and something else. No, it's not. It's 8, 16 and 24 as standard, which actually is a pain in the arse in itself. The 4-hour mod would be so much more useful. But I've kind of held off trying that out. I just love all the creakiness of it. Just love everything about this profile. It's just perfect. You know, the cab does bob and bounce about, but it's not ridiculous. We do have a creaky air seat. The suspension makes a row sometimes. It's just fantastic. It's
Get
wonderful.
ready to turn right.
Bear with me a second.
Turn
Just
right.
leave my mouse. Right, so we've fueled up, we've slept. Sorry this bit's a night portion, but it should pan out in today. So we've got 14 hours and 31 now to destination.
Get ready to turn right.
We've only got 13:55,
Right.
so we might have to sleep yet again. I'm hoping we can make it, but we'll see. It's what it is. But I'm absolutely delighted with the performance of both the PC and the game. And as I say, when you take into account we're not only playing it, we're streaming it as well. Oh, it's fantastic. Just bear with me a second. Let me read the chat. Oh, I love Waystation CFW. How is the parking more brutal? I don't reverse load too often. Oh, it's so much more brutal in American truck. Don't forget you got, you know, huge long reefers available. Most of the park slots are usually well populated with parked vehicles and God knows what. So if you take it off safe parking and put it on skilled parking, you've really got your hands full to try and get stuff parked up. It's a hell of a challenge, it really is. So much more so than Euro Truck. Euro Truck's just easy, it just is. And if you couple that with the fact that you've got, you know, front nose trucks as opposed to cab overs, you know, you've got executive hotel suites on the back of your truck with huge long axles. It just makes the whole thing 10 times harder. I think more fun and more immersive, but again, that's opinion, not fact.
Get ready to turn right.
And I just enjoy the whole American truck experience so much more than Euro Truck,
right.
even though, you know, Euro Truck is more popular probably by 1,000 to 1 or maybe even more. So I just think American Truck is the little cheeky gem in the franchise. And I think it offers so much more simulation and immersion possibilities than Euro Truck. But again, that's just my opinion, it's not fact. And I personally, I just enjoy, you know, the amazing engineering feats that the American guys have put into their trucks. Now, alright, their trucks have got to hammer it over a continent. Right. You know, we've got about 600 miles of driving max in the UK, so a cab over's fine. But again, you know, I mean, when you're on about doing a 35-hour journey, oh my God, it's mind-blowingly good. It's just so cool. If immersion is your thing, you know, if simulation is your thing, not for everybody. Some people want to load it up and just have fun and bash into everything and everything else. Well, for me, it's all about the immersion and the simulation. You know, can I get the truck as realistic? You know, I am going to have to plan my sleeps and everything else properly. And I just find that whole aspect of it fascinating. Because as I say, I know this is a bit naughty, as I say, truckies in real life have to suffer all this, you know, and then some. You know, they've got all the different state laws, they've got all the different police forces that are more than happy to just pull them up and check them on a whim. I need to back that down a bit to 55, because 55 for me is my ideal cruise speed. We can do, there we go, 55. So yeah, but as I say, that's just my personal take on it. Yours might be different, and that's fine. I have to be honest, I really did want a Peterbilt 579, but I went with a Kenworth just to be a little bit different. But I have to be honest, I think the Peterbilt was my favourite. Only because I used to watch Ali Knight 3 or 4 years ago, Night Trucking, and she was always in a Peterbilt 579. I think she had a black one. But again, I love the Peterbilt red, very cool. Bear with me a second. Aubrey, thank you. I'll give it a go. Yes, see how you feel about it, Greg. You know, it's each to their own. You've ploughed so many. Oh, literally, I've got tens of thousands of hours in a Euro truck, and I think just on just on this account, I think I've already got in excess of 1,300 hours on American truck. You got to level 32, congratulations. Well, this is a brand new profile. And you can see I'm now level 29. We've not got a lot of money, we're earning it properly. We've not got money or XP mods in. So, but with a profile like this, you can easily rack up the XP and level yourself up. And as I say, again, personally, I just really enjoy driving and discovering the maps. I miss so much on the first pass, so I'm always sort of going back to places and, you know, discovering stuff I just didn't know was there or I missed the first time. It's a very, very cool game, it really is. Absolutely brilliant. And as I say, I've gone a bit to the other extreme really with the simulation, but that's really what I wanted. Because whenever I watch real YouTube videos of real truckers in real trucks, it's nothing like what it is on American truck. So that's why I try to take a lot of that information and transpose it into the game to really give me that realistic feel, which is what I was absolutely craving. Oh, looks like we've got a bit of a situation here. Not good. Yeah, not good at all. And to do it all on a cost of living crisis class PC as well just makes me even more happy. Thank you, Greg. But as I say, I mean, you know, full simulation is not for everybody. But as I say, I do watch an awful lot of YouTubers from all over the world. I've even watched quite a few Twitch streamers as well. And they all, for me personally, just fall short on the simulation side of things. And I myself have, you know, I've done some ridiculous builds before in the past, huge builds. But it took quite a while for the penny to drop that it's not just about, you know, the quality or the quantity of mods you got. You know, you've really got to put the effort in the command console and everything else. Do excuse me, I'm going to stick. Bloody pollen in the UK is so high at the minute. You know, and it's even things like your radio. And I found this this News 88.
This programming is brought to you by attorney mediator Ron Bankston.
And I just think
arbitration services.
that.
More at ronbankston.com.
Thank you. I just think that really does complete the immersive experience for you.
Our own systems and having an effect on our immune system.
I really do.
Was the global pandemic part of this story?
There was quite a lot of variation in COVID rates by geographic area. And one of the things that they found is that it correlated with pollen loads. And so things like pollen can give viruses a little bit of a hitch of a ride, almost like they're hailing a cab. And the same true of air.
Thank you, Greg. You make it look easy and it's not. Might just stick to my... It is, Bex. It's not that it's not easy, it's setting it up to the level of immersion that you want. That's the trick.
Going to places where they previously would go without thinking about it.
That's what's
Has
not
that had
easy.
any impact as well on how our bodies
You all know how long I've been at it. I mean, I played Euro Truck pretty much when it first came out in 2012. We're now in 2023, so and I've outlasted an awful lot of YouTubers. You know, people like Wombat, bless him. You know, Full Tile Gaming, he comes and goes. Jeff Faviano, he comes and goes. You know, whereas I'm just at it. Now I have to be honest, the farming simulator is a very, very close second. But for me, American Truck and Euro Truck will always be my favourite #1 games. Because I've never known such value for money games and such an awesome, competent software developer as SCS. And that's why I always recommend this game to anybody and everybody. You know, if trucking is your thing, boys and the toys.
And we need to remember that they live on us, so our skin has a lot of bacteria and viruses and fungus on the skin, and so do our nasal cavities and our gut microbiome. And they interact with our immune cells.
Oh, Bosman discovered, Gratzers.
To train and then moderate the immune response. So I think we need
Yeah, I totally agree. So do I, Bex. I absolutely love it to bits. That's why I say it's a very close second for me. I guess I'm just a simulator guy, and I just love the simulation. Let me just switch that radio off because it's going to get really annoying. But again, when you've got things like, you know, your full radio streams and everything else available, all these little elements add up to allow you to create a very immersive simulated experience of real life. And I just think it's wonderful. It really is. And you know, SCS never sleep. Some people see that as the downside, but there's nothing to stop you locking it onto a specific build so that it never updates, so it never gets old as such. I mean, I've locked this all the way back on 136. Oh, looks like somebody's in fire trouble. You know, and I just love little touches like that you can... And this is all for free. You know, if you bought the base game, the map DLCs up to and including Utah are all pocket money prices. You know, they're not going to cost you hundreds of dollars. And then literally everything else is free, so the whole of the United States, the Canada, all the mods, all the immersive bits, they're all free. To me, that's just unrivaled, it really is. Now, I know American Truck is much more of a payware game in terms of third-party mods than Euro Truck. Euro Truck tends to, by and large, just be 100% free all the while. Whereas American Truck, you know, if you want something like a John Ruder mod or whatever, you're going to have to get the credit card out. I get that. Not necessarily so, actually, but anyway, we won't go there. But, you know, the SCS trucks are really good quality, and there's plenty of good third-party mods out there. You know, you want yourself a really cool 389, well, you got... You know, you got the Hater built, you've got Vipers 389. Oh my god, you've got Pingers 389 if you want a stretch show truck. You just spoil. You've got Overfloaters K100 if you want a really top cab over. You've got Harvan's Freightliner FLB. These are all really, really nicely optimised free truck mods. So you really are spoiled for choice. You can just literally knock yourself out. So we've got 10 hours, so we are going to have to sleep again. Where the hell are we going to sleep this time? What we got here? Oh, we're out. So I'm going to make our next sleep stop here. Because we've got a fuel, a chop shop, and sleep facilities. So that should be... And it's a good old distance from where we are at the minute, isn't it? cripes. Yeah, so it's a good old distance. I think that should just about be perfect. So it's actually going to be 3 sleeps for Sister Sarah on this huge trip that we've done. But again, you know, the whole point of it for me was to test both the hardware and the build to make sure that we have got longevity. Yeah, we'll do, Bexley, no worries. I can put that up for you. Actually, she's not done far short of that, Greg. You'd be surprised. It usually ends up all over the road. That's a trouble. But yeah, she has tried before in the past to do some wacky hauls in real life. Quite happy to promote that for her. So we try to avoid those these days. She even torched a previous scooter, and I mean torched. Not deliberately. So yeah, shit does happen. Bless her. I think we've got plenty of sleep/fuel options if I've got it wrong. Because it really is a hell of a... it's not that much of a way, is it? Let's just crack on with it, get it done. And let's hope the PC and the profile hold up, which they have done so far. Oh, I'm in trouble here. I'm going to have to go up the inside, which is a bit naughty, but especially with dynamite. But yeah, very happy with it. Delighted with it, to be honest. This is something that does my head in, because it doesn't matter whether it's Euro truck or American truck. Whenever I get over in the inside lane, the lane always ends, or it's a turn-off lane only. Just do your head in. Oh, look at me, all over the shop because I'm reading the chat on the Chromie. Now it's telling me to get over again anyway. See what I mean? Does your Uncle Ned in? Yes, Mom. We can go straight on to our last sleep and fuel destination. This is probably not going to be far short of a 3-hour stream by the time we're done, you know, and I think that's a suitable stress test for both
Go straight on.
the hardware and the profile. But as I say, I'm delighted to bring it all for you, so it just shows you what you can do. Even if you're on a budget, it's all still not only possible but viable to really get the results that you're after. Because nobody wants to do a stream or a video where the quality is absolutely garbage. Excuse me. Just nothing worse. Literally nothing bloody worse. And as I say, some of the streams and an awful lot of the videos, for me personally, are just unwatchable. They're terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I tend to put the effort in on the sort of the other end to ensure that you guys and girls get a pleasurable watching viewing experience as opposed to garbage. Somebody else in an ambo. Very nice. So they've got insurance. I'm just saying. Let's get it over at the Dover. We'll do it legally this time. Yeah, I guess the only regret I've got is I chose a Kenworth and not a Peterbilt. I would have loved a Peterbilt. 579. Yeah, come on, shift that Mustang out of the way. Good man. I do have one other mod I could put in, and again this test has allowed me to see what it's like without it in, and that's SIP's real traffic sounds. Some of them are a bit chubby, so I might stick that into the sound section and see if that causes issues with anything anywhere, which hopefully it won't. We're just using the stock traffic sound effects, which is okay. It's fine. It's a nice truck stop. Very nice. It's a Cameron area. Very nice. All the trailers look beautiful. You know, it just looks immersive. It looks believable. This is where it gets a bit tacky with the rendering distance, unfortunately. But hey, we're on a 2 gig graphics card. This is what I say. You have to lower your expectations of it. You know, we're not rocking an RTX 4080 Ti here with 24 gig of VRAM, so if you lower your expectations, you'll be absolutely fine. And this for me has been a wonderful immersive drive. I've really enjoyed it. It's not over yet. Yeah, absolutely, Bex. So, yeah, hopefully it provides a bit of inspiration for other people that either want to do video or live stream content up onto YouTube. And have a limited budget to do it. Well, that shouldn't be a barrier to stop you doing it. You know, it's perfectly not only doable but really enjoyable. And actually, it's a bit easier if all you're doing is making videos as opposed to live streaming. It's just a bit less stressful on your hardware videos. Live streaming's always been tough on your hardware. Always has been. But as I say, you shouldn't use it as a barrier or a reason not to do content. You know, it's your passion, your pleasure, and that's what a lot of people really do enjoy watching. People who are passionate about whatever it is they're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you're passionate about it and love it and really enjoy it. And you know, I think that comes across in both your live streams and your videos, and I think that's what people really enjoy. Because I guess some of these really long drives like what I've done today are pretty boring to watch if it's not live streamed, because there's no real-time interaction. You know, it just is on a video. It's much better on a live stream than a video, but Videos do have their uses and their place, that's for sure. You know, this is pretty damn good for free content, peeps, I'm just saying. Pretty darn good, even though I do say it myself. I'm going to take a big risk here. Probably pay the price for it, but anyway, we'll see. Just bear with me a sec while I read the chat. This PC I've ordered has no OS. I'd love to install PC Linux OS on it, but unfortunately I'll run some very Winblow specific software. It doesn't matter, Greg. You need to install the right tool and the right platform for you, and if that's Windows, that's fine. Lob Windows on it, no problem. You're staying away from field 20, Bex. No, you're not. I'm going to get you to do it again, girl. It's your favourite field. Let's get it done. Let's crack on to our next fuel and kit stop before we go ahead and complete. It's been a hell of a journey. It really has. It's really been an up the elephant and round the castle drive, but as I say, the rewards are there for us at the end of it. We do have some amazing load possibilities, and that's without any own trailers at all. This is all just freight market stuff. I guess if I could get them to do one update, only one update to American Truck, it would be to implement the real life job software that real American truckers use, where it shows you, like, you know, the 4-day average price for loads. I think that would be so cool for immersion. I really do. Cripes, traffic slowed to a crawl through here. Really? Well, because of that bloody fire engine. But again, it's all down to, you know, what levels of immersion you want personally. You know, I mean, I absolutely love all this stuff to bits, but it's not for everybody, I get that. I guess in the not too distant future we're going to catch this bloody fire engine up and have to go around it. Go, big boy. Nicely done. We're getting good wear and tear on the tractor and the trailer, but the load itself not damaged, so we might get reprimanded when it gets to the depot. But anyway, this is what happens with wear and tear on your truck and your trailer. Carrying all this dynamite around ain't fun. Morning, Mark. How you diddly doing? Nice to see you, man. Oh, you never know when I'm going to be live. All over the shop, but it keeps it interesting. All over the chop shop, just saying. There she is. Oh, beautiful. Peterbilt red T680. Not really confusing, is it? But anyway, who knows? Maybe in the future I'll chop the Kenworth in for a Peterbilt. Maybe I'll even get a nice night trucking skin for the Peterbilt. That'd be nice. For the immersion. and we can make out that we actually drive for Night Trucking, which is now merged, I think, with Swift. I think Night and Swift are now the same company. I don't think Ali's made a video for a good 3 years. Old Ali Knight. So, yeah, stuff moves on, I guess. I don't even know if she's still trucking in real life with the companies merging. She may have packed it in. Who knows? Idaho. Here we are, popping up into Idaho. Nice. So let's just have a look. Where are we? So we're on the back 9 to the next sleep chop shop. Oh, Spokane. There is a dealer there as well in Spokane. I might get that while we're in Spokane before we go and complete the last leg of the journey down into Vancouver, which is actually in and of itself a hell of a bloody trip. So we've got 7:43 in-game hours to destination. So maybe it's not as bad as what I thought. But for me, this has been epic, absolutely epic. I know it's a bit of a long stream, but I think it's worth it. I certainly couldn't have made a video of this length. It would have been gigs and gigs and gigs of data. But hey ho, there you go. Oh, well, that's good to hear, Mark. I'm glad. You mean eye rolls? You're always eye rolling, Bex, or face palming, one of the two, or thumping. Thumping's your favourite pastime. Usually my poor old arm's a recipient, or my leg. Thump. But hey, it's what it is, isn't it? It's what it is. Yes, we do have a sleeper on the back, which is unusual for me, I know. I'm usually a day cab boy. But I figured if we're going to be sleeping over, we may as well have our own inbuilt hotel suite on the back of the truck. Something you don't get in the UK, that's for sure. All you get is some jive-arse bloody Cub Scout bunk bed. You don't get a hotel room suite like you do on the American trucks. Oh, nice trailer, Hummer. Nice. The cheese and the rice. Come on then, we need to hit into Spokane. We have got plenty of time left. Yeah, 145 hours left. That's all down to a mod I installed that gives us a hell of a lot more delivery time options than the standard. You know, it's a bit tight malarkey, so it removes that pressure of having to do the deliveries. I could do this properly, but hey, that's what the hard shoulder's for. Getting a bit fresh, just saying.
Go straight on.
Liquid, nice. And again, personally, I just think it's so nice to see trucks with smoke out the stacks rather than being injected full of AdBlue. Just saying. Hey, the old way stations love me today. Absolutely love us to bits, they do. We've not had to stop at a single bloody one. Wow. Oh, I think we did have to stop at one, didn't we? But it's being very kind to us. Usually it pulls us over at every chance it gets. There's a way station, we're in it.
Keep right, and then exit right.
So here we are at our next sleep spot.
Exit right.
It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, so I might do double sleeps actually, so that we carry on getting daytime drives
Keep
rather
right,
than
and then turn right.
nighttime drives. So the first thing we're going to do is fuel up
Turn
here.
right.
So I know you're allowed to turn right on red. You do, for some strange reason, have to stop before you turn, otherwise you get fined. Okay, so let's go and fuel up. And then we'll go and get our heads down. We do have a chop shop here we could repair at. It won't repair the trailer, but it will repair the truck. Not a bad shout, I guess. So let's go ahead and service the truck. Yeah, $500, as we do need to keep the truck in really good condition. Loving the Alcoa wheels, by the way, just saying. I don't know if we can sleep here. Well, according to this we can. And that's our sleep bay. Oh! I wonder if it's going to let us sleep here. Yes, it is. Awesome. We can slot in here with the boys. Okay, let's see what time it gives us. See, it's 8 PM. Night time. I want to sleep through the night, so I'm going to double sleep, which should allow us to. So it's 6:33 AM. We should still have plenty of time. Yeah, time coming out of our arse. See you later, boys. Thanks for the company. So we've fueled, we've slept, and it's now 6:41 AM in-game time in the morning.
Keep left.
So let's
and
get
then
on our
turn left.
excuse me, merry way to Vancouver.
Turn left.
And let's complete the job. What an epic drive this has been. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I've loved it. EB missed my joke. I wasn't eye rolling at you, Mark. I'm watching the videos too. Alright. Yeah, well, it's not perfect, Mark, but it's pretty darn good. It's good enough for me, that's for sure. I enjoy it anyway, that's all that matters. Yeah, sometimes the smoke does go the wrong way, and it's not, you know, it's not 100% realistic, but the key word there is immersion. It's good enough. And it's certainly a hell of a lot better than not having it, in my humble opinion. My worthless humble opinion. We don't actually need a headlights on, do we? We can just have the sides on and remove all that glare. Although we might get fined, because I think you need your lights on up to 7 AM, don't you?
Go straight on.
So let's see what happens. Spokane. See you later, Spokane. Thanks for the sleeps. It was great. Loved it.
Keep left.
Keep left. I'm not going to bother with the dealer here because I want to crack on and complete this delivery. Get the dollar in the bank, Frank. That's the idea. I'll be right back on the mic, all 2 minutes.
Keep left, and then turn left. Turn left. Go straight on, and then keep right. Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right. Rerouting.
And we're back, sorry about that. So, looks like we didn't escape all the way stations. But hey, it's what it is. I can't complain. We've had a bloody good run. Thank you, Bexy. Very kind. So we've got 4 hours 23 to destination. This has just been such an epic and yet enjoyable trip for me. I've just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And it's not easy because you don't always get the time to do mega long streams and journeys. But when you do, they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. And if you've got yourself a cheeky little immersive build, well, for me it just makes it all the more better. Come on, arseholes, let me out. And of course, with the way this truck's engined and geared, I can't just bez it off, you know. Real life, innit? Just saying. I just love it. So let's crack on to Vancouver. The hardware's held up brilliant. The game's been rock solid. The profile build has performed really, really well. It's allowed us to do probably about a 3-hour non-stop stream, which again for me is outstanding. No complaints whatsoever. Why it wants... Oh, we're coming off right here. Okay, that's
Keep
why it
right,
wants me to get over.
and then exit right.
Oh, I guess we have to comply. Let me just have a look at the... Yeah, it did
Exit
repair
right.
the truck. So I obviously put some damage on the trailer at that exit when I should have dropped the trailer, really. But you know, the map combo, the truck, all the mods, fantastic. Absolutely freaking amazing. And I really do feel like I'm in the big wide open US of A driving, which is freaking awesome. Absolutely awesome. So Kennick and Pendleton.
Keep right, and then exit right.
So we're coming off here. Oh god, it's a donut. I hate donuts, just saying.
Exit right.
I suck at donuts. It wants us to do 25 max round here. So the best thing I can do is comply. Otherwise we're going to end up in the bloody metal barriers, and now we've got both sides. Oh my god. Oh my actual god, really. But again, it's nice that you've got this variety in the driving. I think so anyway. It keeps it all interesting and fresh. It means you've got to focus on what you're doing. If you let your concentration slip, well, you'll end up in a barrier somewhere, wrecking your truck and your load. Kennick. The Evergreen State, 2 of 16. So I'm guessing we're back into SCS content now. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing we are. Washington was an SCS DLC, wasn't it? So I'm assuming this is now all SCS. I'm assuming that this is all coast to coast. And of course this up here is Canada Dream. So we've had an experience of all 3 map qualities. So this is the highest detail level. If we're going to get any micro stuttering, this is where it's going to be. And you can instantly tell the difference in map quality. SCS maps are stunning, of course.
Keep right, and then turn right.
So it just goes to show what you can do. If you've got the will
Turn
to
right.
do it. Certainly anything is possible. We can go here. Well, there is a vehicle coming. Vehicle. Oh, and you're going to stop because it's gone on green now, typical. So 3:42 to destination. Let's get it done.
Go straight on.
And what I will do, just to demonstrate the comment I made earlier, I'll put it onto skilled parking. And then you'll see just how brutal this bloody game can be. Absolutely brutal it is when it comes to said parking. But I hope it does look really nice on your screens. Yeah, pleasure, Greg. For the duration. Even though it's only 720p, I want it to be an enjoyable, immersive experience for you guys and girls as well. We seem to have more pull than the Ovlov. Pendleton, see you later, Pendleton. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mark. Well, as I say, we have tried to bring you guys and girls the best possible quality that I can with the kit I've got available on this little gaming PC. And I think she's been absolute top dollar. Okay, let's bash on to Vancouver. Let's get up to our 55 cruising speed. There we go. Lock it down. The truck's performed admirably. The dynamite's not gone bang. Well, so far it's not. So that's good. And we're on time. Nice marina. We're on time and on target to get a nice ludger dollar from the job. This Ben's nasty. Welcome to Oregon. Oregon. There's the marina. Look, beautiful.
Keep right and then exit right.
So we're heading for Vancouver in Washington State.
Exit right.
Of course, the frame rate may suffer slightly because SCS maps are so much more detailed than Coast to Coast or Canada Dream maps, that's for sure. So many more assets on the maps. Portland. So let me know if the quality suddenly goes really bad or it becomes unwatchable. And where you going, big boy? You're just going to stay in the outer lane. And I'm surprised it didn't pull over and collide with us actually. That's usually what the AI gets up to. See you later, big boy. There she is, our Kenworth. We're trucking, we're rolling. Some great loads in this profile. We've got a lot of exciting loads to be hauling. Bear with me a second. I downgrade ATS and ETS versions that I can play because Proton 7 and my GPU supports DirectX 11. Awesome, Robbie. That's awesome, man. Well, as you know, I'm downgraded to 136, but as I say, I bought an RX 580 today, so that gives me the opportunity to upgrade this rig to a GDX 1050 Ti, which will give us a lot more grunt and, more importantly, access to NVIDIA Profile Inspector. So I really should be able to take this profile to the next level totally, which will be pretty cool. It's already pretty good with a super budget setup, but throwing a 1050 in there will really give it some grunt, especially in the graphics department, which will mean we can really up the rendering distances of everything from traffic to scenery and still maintain good frame rate, whereas this little 2GB AMD Radeon, well, she's about running at her limits with not only playing it but streaming it. So I really am loath to mess about with spawn distances on the 2GB. Once we get the 1050 in, well, we can experiment a bit more. But the game itself looks fantastic, it really does. Just looks amazing. Don't know how severe this bend is, it might catch us out a bit, but we'll see. It's like we're catching a train up. Freight train. There's a freight train. Yakima Bend, 1 mile. And there's a freight train going around said bend. Yakima Bend, half mile. Don't even know what Yakima Bend is, whether it's a bend in the road or whether it's just the name of somewhere. No idea. There's a freight train off to the left. Nice. Beautifully rendered. Big thumbs up for Team Red, just saying. So is this the Yakima Bend then, I assume? Guessing that bend's quite severe, so it's a big bridge over a lake. Huge lake with a dam. Nice, beautiful. Beautiful, very nice. The Dailies and Bend. There we go. So 1 hour 44 now to Vancouver. We've got plenty in the bed, we've got plenty of fuel. We planned the stops really well.
Keep left.
Even though I do say so myself. Just part of a successful trip, all these elements. The Daily's discovered, there you go. Wow. Absolutely wow. Oh, didn't want to do that. Especially as we're approaching a tight bend. Really didn't want to do that. No, I can't pull out. You need to get your foot down, big boy. In your Tesla. There you go. Was lucky. Lucky ducky. Excuse me. Wow, what I just it just blows me away. The entertainment pleasure you can get out of a game like this if you pile the immersion in. That's not good. Oh, come on, really? Don't start being a twat now, really? God, I bet in real life truckers hate these
Finding
things.
a new route.
Bloody way stations. They really do need to implement some kind of fine system for overweight trucks. Be interesting if they added vehicle inspections to way stations as well. You get fined for your load not being secure or dodgy tyres or whatever. That would also be very cool. Come on, shift your station wagon. At your rearing gear. Lovely. Really? You're going to bob and weave? Right. Oh my god. What is he doing? You are caught on camera, big boy, just saying. Live on YouTube. He's on the bob and weave cycle, I'm afraid. Beautiful scenic views. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, let's smack it on our cruise. There we go, 55, perfect. Got to choke and puke. That's something else they could introduce into the game. Eating, toilet stops, that'd be interesting. Portland, nice. Hi Portland, bye Portland. Damn, I love this game. So goddamn good. Another ambulance.
Keep right.
But it's not blued up. Right lanes are clear, we're good to get over at the Dover. Vancouver. There we go, our first sign for a destination. Nice. And the hardware, the game, the truck, the mods, the profile, it's been absolutely crack on. Not a single glitch, not a single crash. No hassle. Absolutely amazing. Right, we've got a 55 speed limit, so we'll sit at 50.
Keep left.
Yes, ma'am. And then when we get to a destination, you'll be able to see what a nightmare and just how brutal skilled parking is in American truck versus Euro truck. It really is brutal, and I may well end up having to hit the NE key because I might fail miserably when it comes to parking this thing up. I think it's a 53-foot trailer, so it's quite long. I think it's 53 foot. It's either 48 or 53, one of the two. Again, gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. Just makes your drive so much more pleasurable. Really, really does. And as I say, value for money. There's not another game on the planet to touch either of them. Both siblings. Such value for money. Beautiful. There we go. Here's R off. Nice. Oh, it's not.
Keep right.
Oh, it is. It is hour off. 25 mile an hour. Come on, Ebes, back it down. It's going to get pretty brutal.
Keep left.
Keep left. Oh dear. Wow, this is a junction and a half. Which is very Pro Mods-esque. Even though we're not on Pro Mods. That was almost as brutal as the parking. So we have got reduced speed limit here of 55. So we'll sit at 50, that's good enough for us. Guessing we're going to come off here as well.
Keep right.
Yep.
And then exit right.
I don't know.
Exit right. Keep left, and then turn left. Turn left.
Epic, absolutely epic. Face blocking. Wild Wheeze, yeah, that would be an interesting addition, wouldn't it? And them sirens sounds as if they're from the 1950s. Unless they're using real old vehicles. Which they probably are.
Left.
But nevertheless, it's a little bit of extra fun immersion, isn't it?
Turn left.
And it's not too nauseating. A bit, but not too much. Wow. Freaking epic journey. Epic. 4 minutes till the pain starts. We have to try and back this huge bloody trailer up. It's a drive and it's not a reefer. I think it's 48 foot. I don't think it's 53 foot. I think it's a 48 foot trailer, so this is going to be fun. Not. This is going to be pain of the highest order. Don't worry about that. Here we are at said destination, so we better get our beacons on and our hazards, otherwise we'll get told off on site. Open leg gates. I thank you. Let's see what the nightmare scenario is for parking this up. I'll try and make it as easy on myself as I can, but oh man, it's brutal. Here we are at said building site. Where they obviously want their dynamite. Well, at least we managed to get it here without blowing it up on the way. Or ourselves for that matter, which is cool. And we should get ourselves some nice dollar for our effort. Beautiful. It's very, very nice. Okay. Let's see what our worst case scenario is going to be. Now,
here we are. Safe.
This is critical because you either do this the right way or the wrong way, and I can't see where it wants it. So do we go left or do we go right? Difficult, isn't it? I'm going to go left. Although I can't, it's this way only, look. So I've got to do as I'm instructed. So we've got to go over the bloody weighbridge, which is a shitter. We've got to do our best not to catch them trailer wheels on the end of the bloody weighbridge. Bloody struth, mate. Here's your dynamite. Where do you want it, big boys? Still can't see where it wants it. I think it wants it backing in up there. Myself. Yeah, we can press the any key, so I'm guessing it wants it backing in there. Yeah, there it is, look. So it's a good job we didn't go left. So this is what I'm talking about when I say the drop-offs are absolutely brutal. And of course I should really remain in cab. We're going to have to shove it and then swing it. And I don't know if we've got enough swing room here. Especially with this being a super long trailer. I'm guessing I've caught it on that bit of concrete there, look. Really tight for space to swing it in. It just does not give you any room to swing that trailer in at all. Look, so now I'm screwed because I'm already at the fence. And this is what I mean by ATS is much more brutal at parking than Euro Truck. Yeah, now I'm all out of room altogether because of the bloody fence. Cripes, it's tight. I don't even know how I'm going to get that in, you know, at all. Because we just don't have room with the bloody fence. might have done it. No, is it buggery? Brutal, bloody brutal. Wow. And again, we're up against the fence. Okay. Might give us the room that we need. I think it might feel sorry for us and give it us a bit of luck. Wow. What a bloody part that was. I'm glad you're enjoying it. There you go. There's the dollar right there. There's the dollar. Yay, and we did level 30. Congratulations, but more importantly, we got 153 grand for our effort, and we got a Steam achievement as well. So there we go, everybody. I'm going to end the live stream here. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've absolutely loved it. 3-hour live stream. We did a great epic journey. It was full of immersion and simulation, right the way back on the 136 platform, but I thought it acquitted itself excellently. Cost of living, super budget, bog basic PC, 720p stream, as well as playing it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll see you all in the next one, everybody. Much, much love. Cheers.